All right. So we stopped the last class where we had discussed about how to estimate missing data, right? So suppose I have uh, a catchment that I'm interested in, and I happen to have multiple rain gauges installed in that catchment. Okay, so let's say there are n different gauges, and then I have data for the last 15-20 years, whatever it may be, and at one station I'm missing the data for one particular year, but I have the information for all the years at the other stations. Okay, so this is the problem statement. Okay, so I have, let us say, n different stations where I have observed rainfall for the last 15-20 years. At station Y, I have observed for the last 15-20 years, except for the last year alone. The last year alone, for some reason, the rain gauge was not working and it did not collect any data. Okay, so the question is, what can I do to estimate the rainfall at this location Y, where I'm missing information for 1 year, but I have the information for all the other years? Okay, at location Y. Okay, any thoughts?
Interpolation.
Interpolate. Okay. Fine, sure. How do you interpolate?
The approximation.
No. See, you used the word interpolate.
Numerical analysis.
Numerical analysis. Can you say things that everybody can understand? You're saying interpolate. That's a word. You have to explain that. Or you're saying numerical analysis. Be more specific.
Sir, we can plot the various, rainfall amounts on one axis and the year on other axis, and
Okay.
then we can get a curve through that through the number of points.
1 second.
And,
so are you talking about location Y alone?
sir.
So you're saying, okay, so let me understand exactly what you're saying. One second. One at a time. Okay, so he's saying for location Y, have time on the x-axis and rainfall on the y-axis. So every year you may have some value, but this doesn't tell me anything about the year for which I'm missing data. So you're saying you'll get an average for those years. You can just assume that this year also, whatever rainfall happened was the average, the year for which data is missing.
Sir, we can have
one at a time.
Use Newton-Raphson method.
Again, see, you're using words. You're just saying Newton-Raphson method. Newton-Raphson method to do what?
Sir, we can have a curve that passes through almost all the points, that approximates all the points. So we can, put in the value of the time and then get a value for.
I understand all that, Aditya. All I'm saying is, you're saying that knowing the rainfall from the last 15 years, I can predict the rainfall for this year just by saying, but what if in the last 15 years, the rainfall, what I've plotted over here, it's up and down. Okay, the average is some number. Okay, but in any given year, it is never at the average. It is always above it or below it. Okay, by varying amounts. Some years it's close to the average, some years it is far away from the average. But over the last 15-20 years, you have some average number. Okay. Okay, let me finish talking, then you can start. Okay. So when you say that for the given year for which data is missing, you can just take the average. That is a perfectly valid way of doing it. Just take the average of the previous years, and this year you can say you must have received somewhere around the average. You don't know whether it is exactly correct or not, but you can estimate it using the previous 15 years average as the prediction for the next year. Okay, Chakradhar, yes.
Draw one more axis popping out of the plane of the thing.
Okay.
So if you draw that is for you say for the plane xy and along. So means I'm telling to plot a curve in a 3D. So
What
we'll
is the
get
third
more
axis?
third axis.
There's no problem plotting in 3D. Okay, I can't do it on this screen, but you can always do it in MATLAB or whatever else. But what is the third axis?
Uh, so I mean to say like take the interpolate with in the catchment as well as interpolate with the time.
Interpolate in the catchment as well as interpolate in time. Okay, I think I understand what you're saying. Any other ideas?
Sir, just to add with the average model that Aditya have told, like taking an average of last 15 years, I think rainfall of a particular year won't depend on all 15 years. Maybe it may be related to, like, it may be correlated with 3-4 years, like before that particular year that we are calculating. We can see how the rainfall is correlated, like rainfall for particular year correlated with all the years. Maybe we'll know what is the main year which is correlated with the particular year that we are calculating now.
Now, how will you know that?
Like we do time series prediction, sir, for the rainfall, like based on the similar idea for
No,
while
it's not a
calculating
time
for
series prediction. No. So you're saying every year before the monsoon, the meteorological department says this year the monsoon will be, you'll have normal rainfall, or you'll have less than normal, or you'll have more than normal. Is that what you're referring to?
Yes, sir.
But that is not based on time series. Time series means just looking at rainfall that's happening over the last however many years, 50 years, 100 years, and then saying next year how much will be the rainfall just by looking at. There's no connection between, see, sometimes, for example, the year 2016 was a drought year. Okay, 2015 you had the major flooding all over South India, right? You remember 2015 Chennai floods and all that, right? Huge amount of rain in 2015. 2016 and 17 were a drought year. 2018, I think, was more or less normal rainfall. This year again, it's been more than normal rainfall. There's no connection. You can't say that because last year was a drought year, this year will not be a drought year. No. You can't say because last year was a excess rainfall year, this year will be you'll get less rainfall than that. Nothing. There's no correlation between what happened last year and what is going to happen this year. There's almost no correlation. Okay, or I would say it's very difficult to say that there is going to be, you can predict it just using last year's information. Yes, somebody else.
Sir, rainfall would also depend on the weather conditions, right? So, I mean, we cannot exactly predict what amount of rainfall it would be. We'll only get a
range of
within
values.
which.
Yeah, sure. I'm not disagreeing with that. But here, what we are looking at right now is annual total rainfall, right? We're not interested in a particular day where you can say yesterday was very hot, so today it might rain less, today it might rain more, whatever it is. We are not interested in one particular day of the year. We are interested in the entire total of the year. The entire total of the year, there will be hot days, there will be cold days, there will be windy days, there will be, everything will be there. Right? So see, I think some of you are getting the idea, but I don't think you are able to articulate it in a clear way. Okay, so maybe I'll try to say what you're. Okay, so the reason I have drawn these n different gauges and then drawn one gauge which is in between those n, right, is because there is some spatial, not just temporal, not just in time, there is some spatial correlation, right? So for example, if I tell you that Chennai received very, very high rainfall in 2015, okay, and then I tell you that a place that is 10 kilometers away from Chennai, that place also received high rainfall, you will not be surprised. You'll say, of course, Chennai also received high rainfall. Naturally, 10 kilometers away from Chennai must also receive high rainfall, right? Then I say, but 20 kilometers away, it received high rainfall, but not as much as Chennai. You will agree with that. Now, if I move 100 kilometers away and then say it received high rainfall compared to previous years, just like Chennai received high rainfall, even this place, which is 100 kilometers away, also received high rainfall. You will still agree. If I move 1,000 kilometers and then say, Chennai received a lot of rainfall in that particular year, this place, which is 1,000 kilometers away from Chennai, also received high rainfall. I'm sure there's some connection. You will not agree with that. There's no connection, right? Within a certain distance, within maybe 100 kilometers, within 200 kilometers, you can say that places will receive more or less the same amount of rainfall. Right? They may not receive exactly the same amount, but within an area, some neighboring station will tell you something about what is happening at your location. Right? If I know the rainfall 10 kilometers from here, it will give me some idea of what the rainfall was at this location, at my current location. Right? So I may not have any information, any direct information about what exactly happened at my location, but if I know what happened in 10 different locations around me, then I can find out what may have happened in my location. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Right? So that's all it is. Right? I know what happened in all these other n locations around me. I'm going to try to use that information to try to find out what happened at my location, or try to estimate. It is only an estimate. It is not reality. It is an estimate of what might have happened at my location. Okay. So that is how you estimate missing data for this particular location. Now I'm going to give you some specifics now. Okay. So I'm going to, let me do this. I've just created, are you able to see both of them? Both plots? Right. Okay. So I just created a copy of them. I didn't want to draw it by hand. If I do it by hand, I'll make a mistake. So I made a copy of them. So I have two identical situations. Okay. So now I'm going to write on the left-hand side, let us say P1, P2, so on Pn. Okay. If all of these values are within 10% of each other, okay, are within 10% of each other, which means, so if rainfall at location 1, if it is 95 centimeters, I'll not write centimeters everywhere, okay, so that I can save space. Rainfall at location 2 is 93. Rainfall at location 4 is 101. Rainfall at location 3 is 98, 92, 103, 104, 99, something like that. Okay. So everything is, kind of hovering around. All of them are within 10% of each other, right? None of the values are, and let us say at location Y, it is, let's make it very convenient for ourselves. 100. Okay. At location Y, it has received 100 centimeters in the last few, the normal rainfall that location Y receives is 100 centimeters. The normal rainfall that every location receives is, within 10% of that. If this condition is satisfied, then I do a very simple thing. Okay. Then I say that the precipitation at location Y will simply be a arithmetic mean of all the other stations. Right? If I know that usually these locations all get rainfall within 10% of each other. Okay. So I have the information from the last 15 years, right? So I take the average from the last 15 years. Okay. Okay. Maybe I will not here. Let us say so these numbers, whatever I've written over here, these are the average rainfall in the last 15 years at all of these locations. You understand what I'm saying? The numbers that I've written inside here, 95, 93, 101, all that, these are the normal rainfalls observed in the last 15 years at all these locations. Okay, when I say normal, I mean the average of the last 15 years. Okay, at location 1 in the last 15 years, on average, 95 centimeters of rainfall was received. At location 2, on average, 93 was received, 98, 101, whatever. Okay. So then, this particular year, you may have received some other number. Okay, location 1 may have received 97, location 2 may have received 92, whatever it may be. I take all of those numbers and simply take the arithmetic average and then say that will be the rainfall received, that is the estimate of the rainfall received at location Y. If the normal rainfall in all these locations is within 10% of each other. Is that okay?
No, sir.
Okay, what is your question?
That will not be arithmetic mean. That
That will not be what?
will not be arithmetic mean of them.
What do you mean that will not be arithmetic mean?
How are you?
I'm saying this decision of 10% is an arbitrary decision. Okay, I'm saying if I have a situation where I have these multiple locations which are all giving me information, and if they are all more or less within within 10% of each other, this 10% is a decision that I'm making. Okay, I can decide I'll only do it if it's 5%. I can decide I'll only do it if it is 3%. I'm saying in general, because generally you're looking at relatively large areas. You're not interested in some tiny area within your city. You're interested in looking at a relatively large area. Let us say you're looking at 1,000 square kilometers. Within 1,000 square kilometers, if all the locations are within 10% of each other, you can say that more or less it will be the same. Whatever number you're going to get will be about the same within 10% of each other. 10% is an arbitrary decision that I have arrived at. You have to take some decision, right? I'm saying if they're all within 10% of each other, we will take this simple approach of computing the missing information at this location Y. I'm not saying it will be, see, realize this. There is information that's missing. There's nothing you can do to get back this information. The only thing you can do is use some approximate method. This is one simple approximate method, simplest way of doing this, right? It will usually never happen, but I'm just telling you this, that if all the other locations are within 10% of each other, then you can take this simple approach of computing the mean, or estimating the missing data. Okay, so this is what you do if they are within 10% of each other. If they are not within 10% of each other, then what do we do? That is the more interesting question. Okay, so let us say at location 1, for this given year, I receive a rainfall of P1, and the average of the last 15 years or 10 years or whatever it is N1. So by N1, I mean normal rainfall received at location 1. P1 is the actual rainfall received for this given year. Okay. Similarly, I have P2 and N2. P2 is the actual rainfall received this year, and N2 is the normal rainfall received in the last 15 years, 20 years, whatever it may be. Okay. Similarly, I have P3, N3, P4, N4. And then I have Py, which is unknown, and Ny, which is known. Okay. Pn and N suffix small n. Is that okay? So suppose I have this information. I have P1, P2, P3, P4 up to Pn, but Py is unknown. Okay. And then I have N1, N2, N3, N4, N5, Nn, and also Ny, which is also known. If I know all of these pieces of information, can I find out what Py will be using all this information? That's the question. You understand? Is everybody on board?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
If you have a question, please ask right now. That what is this N? What is this P? You understand what this N and P are?
So,
Yes,
but
sir.
we're still estimating, right?
Yeah, we are still estimating. So N1, N2, N3 are all known because that is the average of the last 15 years. That is known at every location.
Right.
Right? Py, which is unknown, is the only thing that is, that is not known. Okay. Everything else is known. P1 is known, N1 is known, P2, N2, Pn, Nn, Py, Ny. In all of these different terms, the only term that is unknown is Py. Okay. So I'll maybe write it over here. N1, N2, N3, Ny, and Nn are all known. Okay. P1, P2, Pn are known. Py, how to find out? That's the question. Okay. So I'm going to write an equation. Tell me if you agree with this. I'm going to say Py divided by Ny equal to, okay, I'll put one big parenthesis over here. P1 by N1 plus P2 by N2 plus dot 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 Pn by Nn, and then I'll say this whole thing divided by N. Does this equation look reasonable to you?
No, sir.
Or tell me why it's not reasonable. I'm saying
thinking for the first time. That's why.
no. Just think about it logically. Okay. N1 is the normal rainfall received in at location 1. Okay. P1 is the actual rainfall received at location 1 for this given year. I'm taking the ratio of P1 by N1 and doing that for all the locations P1, N1, P2, N2, P3, N3, Pn, Nn. Okay. So I'm saying the way, so P1, let us say N1 is 100. Let us say N1 is 100 and P1 is 105. Okay. Let us say N2 is 95 and P2 is 98. Okay, maybe I'll write it. Okay. Let us say P1 is 105 centimeters. Oh, 105 centimeters. Ah, that's okay. It's possible. N1 is 100 centimeters. Okay. Which means normally at location 1, you get about 100 centimeters of rainfall every year. P1, this particular year, you got 105 centimeters. This normal N1 is computed as the average of the last 15-20 years. Okay. So some years it will be more than 100, some years it will be less than 100. Okay. But the average comes to 100. Okay. And then P1, the actual rainfall received this year is 105, which means it's more than the average of the last few years. Similarly, I have P2, which may be greater than N2. Okay. Similarly, I have P3, N3, P4, N4, all that. All of these ratios, P1, N1, P2, N2, P3, N3 and all, they will all tell me, generally speaking, what is the, how do you say, what is the ratio of the rainfall received this year to the rainfall received normally. Okay. So in the case of P1 and N1, it will be 1.05. Okay. Let's say P2, N2, it is 1.03. P3, N3, it is 1.1. P4, N4, it may be 0.95. Okay. So this, all of these terms over here, P1, N1 plus P2, N2 plus P3, N3, all the way to Pn, Nn is telling you, all of these individual terms are telling you how the average rainfall in these locations compares to the actual rainfall received this year. If P1 by N, if P by N is greater than 1, that means I have received more rainfall than I normally receive. If P by N is less than 1, I have received less rainfall than I normally receive. Okay. Then I take the average of all of that from the for all the stations. That is telling me on average in this entire area, is the rainfall received in this given year on average, is it greater than what is the normal or less than what is the normal? Okay. Then I say the same thing must have been true for Py and Ny. Right? That's the best estimate we can do. Right? Okay. This deathly silence is scary. Somebody has to, yes.
Sir, how big is the area that we're talking about?
It could be very, very big. It can't be too small. Okay. Because we've got like n different gauges. You can't have n different gauges in a tiny area. Okay.
Sir, so if
one second. If you remember from the previous class, I told you that typically you have one station for every 100, 200 square kilometers and so on. right? So if I have 10 stations, for example, it's a 2000 square kilometer area, fairly big, right? I won't say it's for example, the district of Chittoor, which is where Tirupati is 15,000 square kilometers. 15,000 square kilometers. Okay. So if you're interested in working at the level of the district, okay, you may have maybe 80 or 100 rainfall stations, rainfall gauges. Okay. Yeah. Go ahead, Aditya.
Sir, so like if there's an outlier, say the rainfall this year at a point was much more than the mean of previous 15 years.
Sure.
So that would affect our estimation a lot, no, sir? I mean, like,
it will. So now here's the challenge. When you don't have information for a given location, okay, maybe I'm not saying these are the only two ways of doing it. Okay. Somebody said interpolation, right? Chakradhar said interpolation. Interpolation is also fine, but how you interpolate also matters, right? There are different ways of interpolating. It's not that there is only one way of interpolating. If you interpolate it in one way, you will get one answer. If you interpolate it a different way, you will get a different answer.
So which method are you using right now for this formula?
So this method is what is called the normal ratio method. Okay. The normal, you're taking the ratio of the current year's rainfall to the normal rainfall observed. And you're saying that I will take the average normal ratio. You're taking the average of this P by N ratio for the entire region and saying, if this is the P by N ratio for this entire area, most likely the P by N ratio for my location must also be the same. Right? So then I'll say, okay, so I'll assume that my P by N ratio for this unknown location Y is the same as the average of the P by N ratio for the entire region. Okay, obviously the larger this area becomes, the more problematic this kind of an approach is. But if it's a very large area and you have hundreds of gauges, you don't need to use all 100 gauges. You can zoom into a relatively smaller area where there are 10-15 gauges, and you can use the 10-15 maybe nearby gauges to estimate this, right? For example, if I tell you that in the city of Nagpur, rainfall is not available, rainfall data is not available for a given year, one way of doing it is taking all the rain stations from the whole of India and doing it. And you can do this approach for the whole of India, right? You can take the average from P1, which is the gauge in Delhi, and the N1, which is the normal rainfall received in Delhi. You can take all of them and then compute the average. And then you can find, you can say, the average, the rainfall that Nagpur must have received must have been so and so, using the whole of India for this. If you do that, procedurally that's correct, but it doesn't make any sense, right? So you will say, hey, why should I take the whole of India? I'll draw a circle around Nagpur. Okay, maybe 500 kilometers everywhere around Nagpur. I'll draw a circle. I'll pick the maybe 10-15 gauges that are in a 500 kilometer radius of Nagpur, and use whatever gauges are in that circle, and I'll use that to compute the number for Nagpur. Okay, the reason I chose Nagpur, there's an interesting reason. I don't know if you're aware of this. Nagpur is the geographic center of India.
Yes,
Nagpur
sir.
is in the geographic center of the whole of India. Okay, so that's why I picked Nagpur. Okay. So is this approach, I mean, this is a very standard approach. Okay, there's nothing, it's not fancy. Okay, it's a simple approach. The earlier approach was even more simple. If you're, if everything is within 10%, then you do this very straightforward way of estimating, which is just the arithmetic average. This one is a little bit more sophisticated. Okay, little bit more sophisticated because it is taking into account what happens normally and is using that information to try to estimate what might have happened in a given year. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
In the left diagram, like Py equal to 1 by sum of Pi's. In that, still I didn't get how can Py can be like average of Pi's. Maybe it seems as if around its surroundings we can apply this, but I don't think I don't feel.
you become muted. Unmute yourself. Around its
I
surroundings, you
think
can
it's,
apply it.
I mean, yeah, around its surroundings with equal and distinct is with the equal distance points. Maybe I don't know how. Like
Have
I'm not
one second.
I can't
Have I
agree
have I,
to.
one second. 1 second, Chakravarti. Have I drawn a scale here and told you how far P1 is from Py?
No,
Why are you
that's
assuming it's
what
3,000 kilometers away? What if it is 20
I'm not
kilometers away?
assuming. Yeah, it might be, but so here, what method are we using? Like,
This is just a
what method
simple.
are we?
This is an arithmetic mean. That's all. Nothing fancy.
No, here we are interpolating. Of course, here too we
This
are
is not
interpolating. This is
interpolation, by
also
the way. 1 second. What we are doing, the second one is also not interpolation. Both of these methods are not interpolating. Okay. The first one says, you know what, these locations, the first method, when I'm saying all of them are within 10% of each other, I'm saying, you know what, they're all more or less, they're about the same number. Okay. 92, 100, 105, all about the same. Okay. So it really doesn't matter. You just quickly, you can estimate what the rainfall at this location might have been just by taking a simple arithmetic mean. Okay. That doesn't mean that it is exactly correct. Okay. This is an estimate. It is not the truth. Okay. And then if they are not within 10%, this 10% decision is an arbitrary decision that I have made. Okay. Don't think that this 10% has come down from God. No, it is an arbitrary decision that most textbooks make. Okay. If it is 5, if you will feel more comfortable if I say it's 5%, then I'm willing to change that. Okay. No problem. If you are not comfortable with this, if it is 9% and you're not comfortable, you can go and do it the other way. The answer will still be more or less the same if it's 10%. If it is more than 10%, the answer will not be the same if you do it by the arithmetic mean or the normal ratio method. Okay.
sir.
Yes. Last question.
Actually,
We'll move on now. Okay.
okay, sir. Actually, if few points are given, and if you are finding an unknown point, that is of course interpolating. Both of these are interpolating, and
Okay.
so
Interpolating has a
actually,
specific meaning, Chakradhar. Interpolation doesn't mean anything is not interpolation. Interpolation has a specific meaning. We'll learn about it a little bit later. Yeah, keep going.
so means like if you draw, if you drew, so if suppose let's say you draw a graph, and the points are within 10% range, they are going upside down, and so the average, like if you average it, you will get a straight line.
Mm.
So somewhere, so with so you are saying that as it is like you are, so that is the straight line is the interpolated one. So between see, not only at y, you can say that anywhere, if you take any point other than these plotted endpoints, you take any point, you can assume that this average is the rainfall at that point.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That is exactly what I'm saying.
Okay.
Now the point is this: in the first method that I suggested, it is only using the current year's information and computing it. Right? It is not using the computation. We looked at the average over the last 15 years, 20 years, and then we say, you know, on average, all of these locations get within 10% of each other. So this year's rainfall, you just know it at all the other locations. Just find out what it is at this location by taking the average of the other locations. Okay. So although you used that N1, N2, N3 in deciding whether to use this approach or not, you didn't use N1 and N2 in the calculation. In the second method, you take N1 and N2 into the calculation also. Right? In the first method, you looked at N1, N2, N3, Ny to decide whether to use this or not. Right? But you did not use it in the calculation. In the second method, it is slightly more sophisticated because you are using an additional piece of information. What is the normal rainfall and what is the rainfall received this year? Right? If that ratio is telling me something about this year's rainfall pattern. If it is greater than 1, this year I received more rainfall than normal. If it is less than 1, I received less rainfall than normal. Then that ratio might also apply to my location Y. That's all. Okay. It's not fancy. Okay. Don't worry about it. Okay. So we'll just solve one quick example, and then hopefully people will understand this. In any case, it's not very difficult. Okay, the normal annual rainfall at stations A, B, C, and D in a basin are 80.97, whatever 4 numbers are given, centimeters respectively. In the year 1985, station D was inoperative, and stations A, B, and C recorded annual precipitations of 91, 72, and 79.89 centimeters respectively. Estimate the rainfall at station D in that year. Okay. So now, what do? Normal rainfalls at those 4 locations is given, and the actual rainfall at A, B, and C is given. At D, you have to find out the actual rainfall for that given year. Now, when you look at the numbers, you can see they are all not within 10% of each other. 80.97, 67.57 is not within 10%. 76.28, 92, they are all not within 10%. Right? So, you can we can simplify this very easily. PD by ND equal to 1 by 3 PA by NA plus PB by NB plus PC by NC. Okay? Is this okay? I'm just taking the ratios of P by N for A, B, and C, adding them up, dividing by 3, I get the average, and then I equate it to PD by ND. I know ND, I can solve for PD. So if you actually do this, you will get an answer of, let's see what the number is. I'm not going to go through the numbers, but I'll just write the final answer, 99.5 centimeters. Okay. So that's the answer for this particular problem. Very straightforward. There's nothing fancy in this. Okay. We'll keep moving. Any questions? Quickly. Okay. So now we'll talk a little bit about how rainfall data is typically presented. Okay. So rainfall data is presented in 2 ways. One of them is what is called a mass curve. Okay. So mass curve is basically a cumulative plot. On the x-axis, I have time, and on the y-axis, I have the accumulated precipitation. Okay. So this curve that is drawn on here is reflecting how much rainfall is accumulated as time goes on. Okay. So it's fairly obvious. There's nothing much to explain here. Okay. So, so here you see first storm. The first storm starts wherever the precipitation starts to accumulate. So the between time 0 and this second tick mark that you see over here, there was no rainfall, right? Because the accumulated water depth remains at 0. And then from this point onwards, it starts to go up, and up to this point, it keeps rising up. And then between this point and this point, it remains flat, which means, what does this mean?
No rainfall.
No rainfall, right? So the first storm ended at this point where the accumulated rainfall was 10 centimeters. Okay. So in the first day, up to about maybe for 2 days, you had rainfall of about 10 centimeters. And the slope of this rainfall is telling you, what is the slope telling you?
Increasing.
What is this? Huh?
It's increasing, sir, day by day.
No. Don't worry about what, the physical number. But what does this slope tell you? Physically, what does it mean? So if I take the slope here, the slope will be what?
Rainfall per day.
It will be, what is that? Who was it? I heard a female voice.
Sir, I think rate of rainfall, velocity.
Intensity of rainfall. Okay, so it is centimeters per day, for example, or hour, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so it's basically telling you what the intensity of rainfall was during that duration. If you take a smaller time step, you will get a more accurate representation of the intensity of the rainfall. Okay, so then the first storm ends here, and then now, so here the slope is 0, right? So therefore the intensity of rainfall is 0, which means there's no rainfall. and then again it starts to go up. So this is second storm. So from 10 to 14 is goes up. So the second storm must have received 4 centimeters of rainfall. And then it again becomes flat. So this is one way of representing the rainfall data. Okay. It's a very, very simple way of representing the rainfall data is to show it in terms of accumulated rainfall, accumulated precipitation. Okay. The second way of doing it, so this first one is called a mass curve. The second one is called a Hayato graph. Okay, don't worry about the name. Let's try to understand what the graph looks like. Okay, so on the x-axis again I have time, and on the y-axis I have rainfall intensity in centimeters per hour. Okay, so let's look at this first bar. First bar is 8 hours long, 0 to 8. Between time 0 and time 8 hours, the rainfall intensity was 0.3 centimeters per hour. Okay, so how much rainfall fell in this time duration?
0.4.
2.4. 2.4 centimeters of rainfall happened from time 0 to time 8 hours, because the rainfall intensity was 0.3 centimeters per hour, right? You can convert this into a accumulated mass curve also, right? Not very difficult. And then between time 8 to 16 hours, the rainfall intensity was whatever it is, 0.25 or something like that. You can convert that into accumulated precipitation. And then between 16 and 24, this was the rainfall intensity, 0.35 or whatever it is. Okay, and so on. So this is also telling you how the rainfall intensity changed in every 8-hour window. I mean, I'm just showing 8 hour. It could be anything. It could be 4 hours. It could be 1 hour. It could be 15 minutes. It could be 1 day. Right? It could be anything. The time could be in any window of time. It could be 1 hour, 15 minutes, half an hour. Typically, sometimes 15 minutes is used. Okay, to get very detailed information of the rainfall intensity. Okay. Okay, and this name Hayato graph, this word Hayato, H-Y-E-T-O, this comes from the Greek word for rainfall. So Greek word I think is Hayat or something like that. H-Y-E-T. Okay, graph means it's a graph. So Hayato graph is a graph that represents the rainfall intensity as a function of time during a storm. Okay, so this is how typically rainfall. So those rainfall gauges that I was talking about, they may collect information of this kind. Okay. All right. Any questions on this? Okay. Let's go. Okay. So now, typically, when we are collecting rainfall information, we are collecting rainfall information at a point, right? So these rain gauges, they represent the rainfall values at a given point. Okay. But whenever you're doing an analysis, right, you're not interested in doing an analysis for one single point, right? When you do a hydrological analysis, you require some knowledge of rainfall over an area, right? Suppose, for example, if you take, for example, inside our permanent campus, we have to design, the stormwater sewerage system inside the campus, right? So to do that, you need to know, the rainfall distribution within our campus. Now, because our campus is a relatively small area, you can assume that, the rainfall will remain more or less constant throughout the area. But I don't know if it was your batch or the previous batch. There was one day when I was teaching. Maybe it was, oh no, it was not your batch. It was the previous batch. I was teaching them, and I could see in the sports complex, I was standing in the sports complex, and I could see that it was raining near the hostel, but it was not raining at the sports complex. Have you seen that in our campus?
Many times, sir.
It has happened, right? Because we are so close to a mountain, right? It will be raining at the hostel, but it won't be raining near the sports complex, for example. Okay, so it's very interesting. So this rainfall actually, so even you have obviously observed it, right? So it varies from point to point. But if you're interested in a relatively long time duration, you're not interested in in the 5 minutes. You may see rainfall happening here, but not happening there. But if you take the whole day, for example, it's very likely that it will rain both at the sports complex and at the hostel, right? When the storm begins, it may start off, raining at a particular location, and then as it moves, as the clouds move, then the rainfall will cover the entire area. But for that 5 minutes, you may see that you will have rainfall happening at one location, but not happening at another location. Okay. If you take a very small time duration, but if you take a relatively large time duration, maybe one day or maybe 1 week, more or less it will be uniform on a small scale. But if you're interested in a large area, if you're interested in the watershed, for example, right? So you need to be able to understand the rainfall that is happening over the entire area. So when you are interested in on a large area, you need to be able to have a representative average rainfall that happened over that entire area. Okay, so just like I have been drawing all this time. So suppose I'm interested in a large area. Let us say this is, I don't know. Let's say this is 10,000 square kilometers. Okay, I need to know what the average rainfall over this entire large area is. Okay, and to calculate this average, there are multiple ways of doing it. The first one is the very simplest one, arithmetic mean method. Okay, and then there are two relatively more sophisticated methods. One is called the Theisen polygon method, and the other is called the isohyetal method. Okay, I already told you what Hyatt is. What is Hyatt? Just now we saw hyetograph.
Rain.
Right. So what would an isohyet be?
Maybe points where the rain is equally. Rate of rain is equal.
Right. So you're familiar with these terms, right? Isobar. You know what an isobar is?
Regions of same pressure.
Isobar is basically a line that connects that joins points which are at the same pressure. So an isohyet is a line that joins points which receive the same amount of rainfall. Okay, so these are the the different methods that are used to obtain the average rainfall received over an area. The simplest one is the arithmetic mean. Relatively more sophisticated is the Theisen polygon method, which also is a kind of interpolation. Okay, and then you have the quote unquote most sophisticated method is the isohyetal method. Okay, so these different methods are available for us. Okay, so let's try to understand them through a problem. Okay, so in a catchment area approximated by a circle of diameter 100 kilometers, 4 rainfall stations are situated inside the catchment and 1 station is outside in its neighborhood. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 5 rainfall gauges are located. The coordinates of the center of the catchment and of the 5 stations are given below. Also given are the annual precipitation recorded by the 5 stations in 1980. Determine the average annual precipitation by the Theisen mean method. So this Theisen polygon method, it's just referred to as a Theisen mean method in this example. Okay, so it's giving you the coordinates of these locations. Location 1 has a coordinate of 30, 80. Location 2 is 70, 100. Location 3 is 100, 140 and all that. And the center of the circle is 100, 100. Okay, so this location 100, 100 is the center of the circle. And the precipitations at locations 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are also given over here. Okay, so the first task is to construct what is called the Theisen polygon. Okay, so to do that, what we do is, okay, so the first task that we do is to construct this Theisen polygon. Okay, so let me first start with that. So to do that, we first connect, oh, sorry. I just draw triangles connecting these. Oh, so sorry. Okay, I'm trying to draw a straight line between point 1 and point 2. Okay, not bad. Just assume it's a good straight line. Okay, so I first draw triangles. Ooh. Sorry. Okay, similarly I draw. Okay, just assume it's a good triangle. Okay, don't. Okay, so first I draw these triangles like this. Okay, then I draw a perpendicular bisector for each of the sides of each triangle. Okay, So I draw a perpendicular bisector. Oh, maybe I'll use a different color. That's easier to do.
Sir, you can form 1, 2, 3 triangle also.
I can form what?
Triangle 1, 2, 3.
No, we won't do that. I'll tell you why. Okay, let me draw a perpendicular bisector here. Another perpendicular bisector here. Okay, maybe I've drawn them incorrectly, but bear with me. Okay, maybe I've done a bad job of drawing the triangles. Okay, but anyway, so basically, let us say this location 2. Okay, let me just extend these perpendicular bisectors all the way to the end. Okay. Okay. So is this okay? So I'm going to say that this polygon that I have created, I'll use another color. This polygon that I have created over here, okay, that area is the area which receives the same rainfall as location 2. Okay, and then this area receives rainfall same as location station 3. Okay, and then this polygon represents rainfall received by location 4, and then this other one represents rainfall received by location 5. Okay, and then this, okay, I think I've drawn it incorrectly, so it's come out a little wrong, but this is a solved example in the problem in the textbook. Okay, so the textbook, the textbook solution is also going to be available to you. Don't worry about it. Okay, so you understand the principle. All I'm doing is I'm first creating triangles and then drawing perpendicular bisectors for each side of the triangle, which is creating these polygons. Okay, so the red dotted lines that you see, those are creating the polygons around each of these rainfall gauges, and that is telling me the area of influence of each rainfall gauge. Okay, so then once I know the area, I can simply compute the average precipitation. So average precipitation will be P bar, which is P1A1 plus P2A2 plus so on, divided by A1 plus A2 plus A3 plus so on. Okay, so I'll just show you the solved solution for this. So these are the actual polygons created. Okay, so maybe I've drawn it a little incorrectly, so it may not be exactly correct. So A, B, C, oh, we are over time. Okay, A, B, C, D is the area under influence of location 2. C, D, E is the area under influence of location 3. E, C, B, F is under 4, and then A, B, F is under location 5, right? So corresponding to each station, we have created polygons that represent the area under each. Okay, then I know the fraction of the total area, right? If I know the total area of the circle, then if this is the area of this polygon is so and so, I know the fraction, I know the actual rainfall. I can do the weighted average at P1 times A1 plus P2 times A2 plus P3 times A3 divided by A1 plus A2 plus A3 plus A4, and then that gives me the weighted average rainfall over this entire area, which is 121.84. Okay, I think I went through this a little quickly, I know, but we're out of time. We will meet on Monday. We'll go back over this again. Okay, any questions quickly?
No.
Yeah, it's not very difficult. Okay, don't worry about it. Thanks. We'll meet on Monday.